Hey there and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the dumbbell standing alternating bicep curl. And we're going to be taking a supinated group of this exercise today. This is an incredible exercise for your biceps obviously, so I highly recommend you guys do it. At the end of the video I'm going to be talking and demonstrating on some of the mistakes that you want to avoid. So the first thing you're going to want to do is stand around shoulder width apart. Make sure your hips are in, make sure your abs are tight, make sure that you're standing up as tall as possible, and make sure that your chin is tucked and that you're looking forward. Also make sure that you keep your elbows tucked in. You don't want your elbows to flare out. You want to make sure that they're as tucked in as possible and that you're bringing it right up to the shoulder and then bringing it back down. You also want to make sure you're doing it in a nice, slow, and controlled fashion. But before we continue with more amazing tips, here's a word from today's video sponsor.
I'm today's video sponsor, and if you'd like help losing fat or gaining muscle, there are a few ways I can help you down below. Either set up a free consultation with us, purchase through one of our free affiliate links, or purchase one of our instant access affordable training programs. Can't wait to be of service to you. Now let's get back to the rest of the video.
Now the key here when you're doing this exercise correctly is that you do not allow your elbow position to change. So basically when you're curling up, you only want to come up to the shoulder, because if you come up any higher than that, then you're going to have to bring your elbow forward, which defeats the purpose of you training your biceps. If you're going to start incorporating your shoulder, your anterior shoulder, which is like the front of your shoulder, you don't want to use that. And the only way you use that is when you bring your elbow up. It's like when you're doing a front raise, your elbow has to come up in order for you to do that exercise. Another key thing that you want to make sure you're doing is not arching your back while you're curling up. So notice that I'm just standing up nice and tall. I'm not like using a lot of momentum. Now, if you use a little momentum, whatever, it's not a big deal. As long as like your first couple reps shouldn't require that much momentum. And also, even when you're doing it with a little momentum, or they say body English or whatever you call that, that you're still in control. If it changes a little, it's not a big deal. But obviously, you want to try to not do that. So you have to know what to not do in order to avoid it. Another thing you want to make sure is that you're doing it in a controlled fashion. So notice that, maybe it's like 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down or so. That's a perfect tempo. You don't have to do anything crazy like a 40-second negative or anything like that to stimulate new muscle growth. You just have to be consistent, and you need to make sure that you're getting enough sleep as well as enough protein, carbs, and fats. Another key thing that you want to do when you're doing this exercise is come to a full extension at the bottom and don't do half reps. So notice that my arms are fully extending at the bottom and going all the way up. And then what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm going through that natural full range of motion. That way I can activate as much muscle fibers as possible. So also make sure that you keep your shoulders back when you do it. Don't round your shoulders forward. Also make sure not to like bend your knees or anything. Don't use momentum. Don't do like a push and press for your biceps. So here's some common mistakes. Half reps. We don't want to be doing half reps at the bottom or the top. Don't do 21s either. I think that's pretty much pointless. Just do full reps all the time. Don't do half reps at the top either. Like I said, you want to go all the way down, all the way up. Another key thing that you want to make sure you avoid is momentum. Like I said, you don't want to be using your lower back to like move the weight, because then you're activating different muscles that you're not trying to work. So if you're trying to work your biceps, try to only really work your biceps. Like I said before, do not change your elbow position. So notice how my elbow is coming forward now. You don't want that. You want them at your sides the whole time. Another key thing is to make sure you keep your chin tucked. Don't look up like this and place unnecessary stress on your neck when you're trying to work your biceps. Also, don't lean back when you do it. This is like a very common mistake I see most people do, because the weight is way too heavy. So they think if they lean back, they can get the weight up higher. And also make sure to keep your shoulders down and back and relaxed. That way you don't place any unnecessary stress in that area.